Hi, it's me, Ingrid INFP. And I had a crazy day today because I forgot my card for work and I left it at my healthcare clinic, which is on the other side of town. So I had to get a reserve card, but with the reserve card, I couldn't do my prescriptions because I didn't have like the highest level of permission. Like as a doctor, I get to do all sorts of things in the computers, such as write prescription drugs and that kind of thing. Like a nursing assistant doesn't have that access. So I couldn't do anything basically with my computer. So I went to the healthcare clinic, did not find it in my locker, which really made me almost go into a spiral. Then I checked in my room, I checked everywhere. And then I realized, well, I must have gone into the laundry. I must have put it in the pocket of my scrubs and left it there. So I gave up, I left my clinic, and right outside the clinic was my supervisor. And she was like, did you find it? And I was like, no, because I had written to her in the morning. And she said, let's go and look in the laundry. And I said, but are you sure that they haven't taken away the laundry? It was yesterday. And she said, no, but they usually keep it in the back. There are some sacks that are over there. And we looked through 2 sacks. We found a lot of pens. People had left a lot of pens into their scrub pockets, which can destroy scrubs if you leave your pen in there. And then she found it. And I was so grateful. I was like, yay, thank you, hallelujah, you know? And so she asked me how it was at the psychologist yesterday. And I responded that it was good, because it was good. So I had to go home now and do all of the prescriptions that I didn't have time to do. So yeah. But yesterday I went first to the driving school because it was on my way to the psychologist, because my ESFP friend drove me. It was pretty exciting to be in the car with her because she always blasts like super loud music and stuff, and she's always like yelling swear words at the people in front. It's quite funny. But I went to first I went in, and then I saw an old driving instructor that I'd had, and I got embarrassed, so I went out, and then I went back in again. And then I told my story, which is that I've messed up my driving's test 3 times. I'm tired of this. I want to do an intensive course when we have time for intensive courses. June, July, August, when should I take my holidays so that I can do an intensive course? And I said I will be driving with a colleague who's, because we did a training together, so it won't be only the intensive course, but it's not possible with my job to, like, because their driving lessons end pretty early in the day. They said, no, but we can have classes later. Okay. And later in the evening. I was like, okay, but I'm not sure I'm going to get any times. You know, this is going to be really tough for me. They said that they didn't think that an intensive course was a good idea because I had messed up so many times that I probably wouldn't manage this time around either if I did just an intensive course. I said, but it's not just an intensive course. And then they said, oh, well, you also have to do your risk test and stuff, which are extra things that you have to do before getting your license, because they have expired, because it was more than 5 years ago that I did that test. And then there's another test which is going to be expired in 2025. so I really have to get moving if I don't want to have to redo that one as well. And I said, but like, how does an intensive course work? You know, would it be 2 classes a day? Would it be 2-3 weeks? I can take free for 3 to 4 weeks at a time if I really am going to focus on driving. And they said, yeah, but you need to do a test. You need to do a first driving test around so that the driving instructor can tell you how many times you need to, how many classes you need to take. And I've been through this before. I've been through 4 different driving schools. And each time they do this, they say you need 20 more extra lessons. They say always 20. For some reason, the number is always 20. And I'm like, and that's when I broke down. I broke down crying in the driving school. And I know that I asked them so many questions, and I was really, I must have seemed like a crazy person in there. But like, I'm so frustrated that this is the case for every single school, every time. And they don't make it easy. Like, what do they think that I'm like able to go to several classes a week for months at a time? Like, I can't do that. I can't do it. And yeah, so they tried to reassure me and stuff, but it's just so hard to plan the future when like they're not even able to tell me if it's better to choose June, July, or August for the summer. They said, well, we have less times during the summer and there are less driving test times during the summer. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I know, but that's the only time where I'm allowed to take a long holiday. So I'm thinking now that I might just go and work part-time and also take a long vacation. Anyway, I got to a psychologist, and he was really nice. And he has a stutter. He speaks very softly, is very kind. It seems like all psychologists who are young men have red hair. I don't know what it is. Throughout the years I've met several psychologists. I'm trying to count them now. I've met 5 psychologists. The counselors were women, so psychologists. No, 6. And out of those, so 4 of them were women. No, 4 of them were men. One of them was a 70-year-old man, so he didn't have any hair. But the 3 others, the 3 young men, all of them had red hair. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but it does kind of, it's kind of a weird coincidence. Anyway, he was very, very kind, but I would be such a chaos, and I was talking, you know, I got onto the driving school whole thing, and I was like, blah, 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 blah. And then he was like, I had to stop myself because he didn't want to interrupt, you know. He was like, he sometimes would try to interrupt, but he was doing it so softly that like I wasn't, like I needed to finish my sentence before he could get in. And I tried to like stop talking and try. And so it was good. I'd rather have somebody who's a bit too soft than somebody that's too harsh on me, because I am a stubborn person, and having another really stubborn person just it does not work. It does not work for me. I know that some stubborn people maybe want somebody else who's stubborn who can like stop them in their tracks, but I need to be handled very gently. Not because I'm fragile, but because it's just that's the best way to get me to do something, you know, not by like criticizing me for being bad or whatever. Because that's what I realized during my psychologist meeting, is that we talked about relationships, because that was one of my bigger ones. I've been grieving the loss of my friendship with my INFJ former friend, and it has been a long time now that we haven't talked, more than 6 months. I told him that I wouldn't mention him on this channel anymore because, well, it's not great to be mentioned on this channel if you don't want to be judged by others online, you know, because I do understand that. All I'm going to say is that I am still affected by the loss of that, and it comes and goes, just like grief for a loved one who's died comes and goes. And right now it has been much more than before. And I think it's because I got burnt out at exactly this time last year. And my mental health hasn't been doing too well, and so then I start thinking about all the things that give me bad self-confidence. We did not leave on good terms, and I was wondering like if I was the one to blame for everything. And no, I wasn't. It's a much more complicated story than that. I'm not going to go through the story, but I'm just saying that I wasn't the only one who was in the wrong. But I thought I was, because that's what my friend led me to believe. And when I tell the story about the different incidents that have happened to the therapist, they seem to not think it was totally my fault, you know? When I describe it, it does not sound like a healthy relationship. And yes, of course, I have a part in it because, well, in a relationship, you need two people, right? It can't just be something that one person does to the other. It's a relationship, of course. And the thing is, I have a hard time explaining this to people because friend breakups hurt a lot more than romantic breakups. Especially for me, who doesn't have romantic relationships, you know? But I know that what I had with my friend was not a romantic relationship because, well, we did not do the romantic things that are considered romantic, you know? We weren't attracted to each other in that way. But still, it's just that we live in a heteronormative society, and where relationships look a certain way. And it gets very confusing for me. And obviously it's very confusing for me once the breakup is, well, you know, it's happened now. But it's also the fact that I keep doubting myself depending on what people say to me. And I'm talking about anybody here, you know. the counselor at that clinic, and all sorts of people. Their opinions affect me so very much, and it's like I try to not let them affect me, but they do. And it's kind of immature craving for external validation, fear of criticism, all of that kind of thing. But these are things I've worked on and gotten better at, but still, but I get so confused about what is it that I am, am I really a bad person? Sure, I've done some bad stuff, I've done stuff that's, is problematic, and I think we all do. But then I start thinking, well, what about the other people in these relationships? Why are they? Like, if I treated them so bad, why didn't they tell me that I was before it all broke down? Our communication wasn't good. Anyway, what the psychologist tried to get me to do was to imagine myself as a friend. And this might seem very cliche, just that sentence, but it's more about like, treat yourself as a friend. It's more like, imagine, it's like, what are your own values? What are, would you treat yourself the same in that situation? If you were a friend of Ingrid, and you saw that Ingrid was having a hard time with a certain thing, or being scared or saddened by a certain thing, and let's pick something that I actually am good at. Let's say that I am good at cooking pasta. Okay, and this Ingrid, this friend, is terrible at cooking pasta. Okay, real me is actually good at making pasta. I'm saying that, like, if somebody is having a hard time with something that I don't think is any big deal, if I saw that friend was having a hard time making pasta, what would I do? Would I get frustrated if they got to a panic attack? Would I tell them to stop being worried about it? Tell them that they are overdumping their problems on me? Would I say that, or would I instead say that that it's okay, it's okay that you have things that you struggle with. It's okay that this friend is having a tough time, and maybe I can teach this person, or maybe I can just tell them that it's okay if they can't manage with that today. Maybe we can try some other time, and you can do another task or something like that. And I wouldn't expect the friend to do it perfectly if this was the first time that they were doing it, or even a second or third or 50th time. I wouldn't put such pressure on a friend, and I wouldn't, I would also assume the best of them, assume that they were trying to become better, and that they're trying their best, and sometimes their best maybe doesn't look like my best, but I would have the compassion for that person. And maybe knowing how to cook pasta isn't that important in my friendship, you know? Maybe I can be friends with somebody who doesn't know how to cook pasta. Like, it's not such a big deal, you know? And even if this person was incapable at a lot of things, my friendship doesn't need to be based in that. My value, I don't value people because of what they can do for me or what they can do in general. You know, some people are disabled, you know, it's not like everybody can do the same things, you know, we don't have the same skills. I do want to have somebody in my life who is loving and friendly, somebody who is kind and smart. And that is the kind of things that I value in my friends. And whether they can cook a meal or that they can ride a bike or things that I don't know how to do, doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. And whether they like the same music as me or not does not really matter. The things that I value are what matters. And if somebody stops speaking to me for many, many months, that is something that hurts. That is something I value. I do value spending quality time with my friends. I value honesty and people setting up the boundaries early on rather than waiting until like a boiling point. I value people who are self-aware, people who, you know, I value self-awareness. And if the person that I'm talking to isn't self-aware, that's okay. But I need to have some kind of communication about that, you know? If a friend says like, oh, well, I have a difficulty with putting up boundaries, so like we might need to like figure out these boundaries together, or that they write it down, or that they say it's not okay and say how we could do better in the future. But just certain things, like you can't just give an ultimatum. Friendships aren't black or white. It's much more complicated than that. But I mean, that's seeing myself as a friend. I realized that I am actually, you know, a good person, and I do think that I'm mature enough to handle these different situations with people. And I think that sometimes we get so caught up in that, you know, who did this wrong and stuff. I'm just saying that we need to respect each other, and we are friends for a reason, you know. We do have something in common, and people aren't wholly good or bad, but certain ways of acting are more conducive to a good relationship than others. And there's been so many times that I've been misunderstood. it's because people have the wrong idea of me, I think. And they only see their side of the story. They don't really catch on to mine because, well, and here, in general, I'm talking about extroverted feelers and introverted feelers, you could say. What I mean is that extroverted feelers, they often think that their own values are the same values as everybody else, which isn't true. It's not. I mean, we all have our own values, but they think that they're like right because most people around them tend to agree. And when the FI user is not in line with those values, then you're the wrong person, basically. And I've been around so many FE users around the years that it's a relief when I'm around FI users, to be honest. Because it's like, okay, we agree to disagree. We are still respectful for each other, And I'm not saying that FE users are bad or anything. I love them. They are the best. They are really, really, really nice people in general, and really welcoming and generous and all sorts of things. But sometimes their idea of what is right or wrong involves that a person is right or wrong. Basically, the FI user is wrong. And yeah, that person is often me. And I'm like the wrong person. And it's hard for me to defend myself in those cases. But I need to be certain in myself that maybe I have done something wrong, but I'm not to blame for the entire situation. So yeah, that was this long video. I don't want to target a certain person, not even my friend. I'm just seeing this as a general pattern in life. I think I kind of actually had an NI vision or something this morning, actually, where I was thinking of the cracks in the ground and that we can't fill the cracks with water. We need to fill it with more earth, and if we fill it up with the wrong thing, then the earth will never really, the cracks will still be there, it will just worsen. So I can't fill that crack with guilt or fill that crack with anger. I have a crack, inside, but I can't fill it up with the wrong sort of emotion. I can't fill it up with bad coping mechanisms because that just makes things worse. So it was kind of like the cracks that a tree has been uprooted and then there's the cracks. I don't know why. I was just thinking about that when I was walking to work in the morning. So I think that that's enough there. My videos are getting too long. Have a great day, everybody.